Hello, welcome back to Bloodborne. Here we are for part 3 of this comic playthrough. So in the last one we were going ahead and talking to some NPCs, getting some dialogues, some hidden dialogues, and explaining basically how Bloodborne in itself works with the stats, the hunter's dream, what it is used for, and how to kind of world build and figure out where to go next. So speaking with our NPC here through the window, he was kind of letting us know about a valley and stuff like that of where we need to go. So generally you just want to start, a lot of lock gates are in between you and where you need to go, so obviously the only thing to do is to go around them and figure out what we need to do here. And as you can tell, I don't want to sprint around. Like, I know a lot of videos you guys watch are like, I'm gonna sprint and do these jumps and all that. I just want to show Bloodborne can be played at a very decent pace, where you don't have to rush everything and feel, kind of like a rushed experience to get this game. It's actually better if you do take your time in the Soul series, because it'll prevent a lot of mistakes from happening. Because in these games, they love ambushes and, little scare tactics to kind of get you jumping and get you in situations where you back yourself into a corner or into a pit of enemies where you're just going to have a really bad time at accomplishing anything. So here I picked up pebbles. Pebbles are just used to throw at enemies to kind of get their attention. Very useful if you want to use it for large groups and you just want to draw one by one type of things. So you'll just equip that into your slot, and then, you'll see that they appear in the quick item slot up there. You press square to use it, and it'll just throw a pebble, and you'll gain that enemy's attention. I usually keep my quick items kind of empty, though, because I don't want to use unnecessary items. So as you can tell, there's a guy hiding behind here, so we'll let him do his little swinging. And really, just let the enemies swing away. Just let them swing away, and then you just kind of do your counterattack. Because once they start hitting you and you get staggered, it kind of hurts a lot. Yep, just check your left, your rights. You never know what's coming around the corner. Enemies can hit you through little railings and stuff. Sometimes they like to clip through. So just be generally aware of that. So as you saw there, it took damage and there was like that light red. That meant that I could have recovered my health if I wanted to. But once it's black like that, that means that HP has disappeared for good, and you'll have to use a blood vial to get it back. Alright, so you saw from where I was at, so these enemies are just the basic fodder of the game. They're just like the hollow soldiers from Dark Souls. They stagger very easily. So all you have to do is just kind of R1 spam them, and they will not present any kind of danger to you until you run out of stamina. So you want to watch that stamina bar as much as you can, because you don't want to get caught where you can't swing or roll away, because they will end up hitting you. But just by R1 tapping them, you see that they can't move, so you essentially stun lock them, and they will not be able to do anything against you until you run out of stamina. The guys with the shields, you just smack away. The shields are a joke in this game. Just smack away at it. It'll eventually break their defense, and then they'll be open to strikes. The guy with the little pitchfork was probably the most dangerous of the bunch because he has range. You kind of just want to let them swing out of nothing, and then use circle to kind of get behind them. Get used to probably locking on or don't. It's up to you. This game is probably the one where I would say most of the time locking on is kind of not the best thing to do, because you lose the ability to do this long roll. because when you lock on an enemy and you start pressing circle, you're going to do like little side steps and dodges around it. And I think it just really messes up the camera and kind of gets you disoriented. So we're going to continue down this way, and we want to open up our first shortcut, which is this gate right here. So now that we have the shortcut open, you don't have to take the top, run down, and do all that anymore if you don't want to. I don't really see the point to it, because once you come through here, you're going to find that guy, and you're going to have to fight the dudes that we just fought, but they're all going to be grouped up here, and you won't have the advantage of the stairs, the high ground, or something that kind of funnels the enemy to where you can just control them. This guy over here is not worth the fight at this point. You know, obviously, if you're skilled enough, go ahead and do it. But he doesn't really give off a lot of blood echoes to begin with, and his only reward at times is blood vials. So he's just kind of there to be there, but like 1 or 2 smacks from him and you're kind of done. But we will face these types of enemies in the future, but we will have a better way of dealing with them once we actually start leveling up and stuff like that. So as you saw, there was a drop-off point, so you can actually choose how you want to come down to this location. There's a little drop-off right here. Now that drop-off allowed me to take damage though, right? So if I actually stopped, waited, and looked down, you could see that I could land on top of that to minimize the damage, or take none at all, and then just drop right off of here, right? So it's just really kind of look at the height advantage of where you're at, because there are some heights in this game that will cause you to die just by falling straight from it and onto the ground. Gravity damage is like almost 90% of what kills Souls players, you know, other than just bad mistakes or learning a new enemy's movesets or such like that. Molotov cocktails are extremely useful in giant groups and against certain bosses. Again, a red lantern. Interact with the door.
Are you that outsider? Well, sorry, but I don't want anything to do with you. Trot along, will ya?
And a lot of these people are not receptive to outcomers, right? They just don't want nothing to do with these people. Their town is ravaged. Everyone's become beast. So they're just scared. And you see how I dealt with that pair right there was that I just let them get their attacks off, and then I just go with my own counter. And I was kind of flicking the right stick left and right, kind of trying to hit both at the same time, so that I wasn't just staggering one while the other one was prepping up to hit me. Because once they hit you and you stagger, then that's when things kind of get chaotic and you start wanting to panic roll, and a lot of your deaths come from that kind of stuff. So now over here.
Lads, you've come on. You'd open the door on a night of a hunt. Away with you. Now.
And they are just going to repeat their dialogue, so they're not really worth talking to after that. That guy's set up for an ambush. So you're meant to really run by this, see this giant group of enemies and be like, oh no, turn around and get shot in the face. That's kind of what they like to do throughout the game. So just take your time, walk around. There's no need to panic and like rush through it. There will be a guy right here, kind of like peek the corner, because what they want you to do is run up, grab it, and then he's going to attack you. Kind of take a wide. And as you can tell, he's just dumb enough not to notice we walked up here. Try to get behind him. And then one good charge attack was able to do him. Now, he was a little bit harder to see, and I almost walked into his ambush. So you really just kind of want to look forward first before you make any movements, because you don't know what's going to be around the corner. But luckily, we didn't get struck by him, so we didn't need to worry about that too much. These guys generally turn around because they know they know that you're coming. That's just what their programming is. And just slow walk up onto enemies, hit them in the back, charge attacks. It's the best way to do the damage. Once you hear that sound, go ahead and push R1 when you're close enough to perform the viscerals, and you're golden. This area can seem very intimidating because of the amount of things that are around here. You just generally want to really pick out, kind of view, you scan your battlefield, see what you're dealing with, right? You have a pit of fire, a guy with a shield, a guy with a pitchfork, 2 soldiers patrolling the area, that villager just kind of hanging around, and then you got 2 guys with guns. Obviously, the guys with the guns are probably the worst things to deal with here, because they shoot you from range. And bullets in this game actually do hurt a lot. So you want to grab the attention of what you can here. Watch out for that guy. He got to beat on me. There you go. And then just draw them out one at a time. Sometimes when you take your eyes off the camera, though, right? He could have got an easy shot off on me, but I was lucky enough not to get hit there. And in this case, this is where you kind of want, if you want to, you can use your pebbles here to kind of grab that guy's attention and start making them come towards you. Or you could just walk up the stairs, let him do his thing. Behind here was a body that had a cold blood dew. And those are essentially, if you play the Dark Souls games, just extra souls. Extra blood echoes that will pop to get more points. Come up behind this guy and just pop it. There we go. Dogs in Bloodborne and any Souls game are just generally just terrible to deal with. A good strategy for them is just to kind of let them do their attacks and then just try to counterattack. There you go. Sometimes they like to kind of be a little slippery and they'll dodge away. Oh, massive damage there. So a good strat for this part would have been to use those shards or the pebbles and throw it at the enemies. You know what I mean? You wanted to kind of separate them so that type of thing wouldn't happen, where someone came up behind me, took a swipe. If the other guy swiped at me at the same time, I would have taken the first death of the game right there. But luckily enough, they did not think to do that, so I didn't have to worry too much about it. But a slow, casual walk around like this will not alert enemies to your presence. And before you go off and grab items, you want to deal with threats. So like I said, you want to swipe at their shields just enough to pop it like that. They'll lose their, you'll break their defense, and then you're able to just get some good points of damage in. Now feel free to grab the items. Just continue to take your time. You do not have to sprint through. And I mean, I guess if you don't want to fight all of that, you can just literally just sprint through this area. Because enemies in every Souls games have a point where they have to kind of cut and they have to return to their designated area. That's just how their AI was designed to do. So they'll give you a chase for a bit, but there's a certain point where they kind of stop chasing you and go back to where they need to go. So you could play with their programming like that if things get a little too hectic. I'll pick up the item in the corner for a bloodstone shard, some more of those. This right here is a little shortcut. We don't need to venture there right now, however.
I don't reckon you're from round here. Well, stuck outside on a night of the hunt. How you poor, poor thing.
So you see, everybody's just terrible, right? They don't care. They're locked inside. They're not going to let us in. And there's reasons for that. We'll let it be. Watch out for this area. These things are crows. That little flying attack they do right there can kind of clip you, just depending on where you're kind of set up. So just generally be careful of where you kind of place your character, because I've been cheap shotted by those things a couple hundred times, and you might seem like you're out of their way, but the way that they violently just kind of hack around like that and swing their wings, I guess that's just enough damage points somewhere. Yeah. So these big boys, the trolls, or whatever you want to call them, they are very useful to get your parries off, to learn how to parry in this game. And like I said before, with parries, it's like any other parry in any other Souls game. You gotta wait for the timing and, hit the pistol before they actually get strike off on you, and then get your viscerals in. That's how you're going to be able to deal with these guys. They will do mass amounts of damage, though, so you do want to be careful. And sometimes when it doesn't connect, that will happen, where it just does the damage, but you won't get the visceral. And there we have our second left-handed item, which is a torch. Fire damage is useful against beast. Anything with basically fur, animals, stuff like that. And it's also very useful to light up dark areas. So that troll will always aggro no matter what. So just be careful of him, especially later point you'll see he kind of just follows you when you approach it from a different section. So you'll have to fight that guy every single time. Up here is a dangerous encounter. You got three dogs basically, and a guy with a gun, along with two villagers that have normal little melee weapons. The idea is that they want you to get stuck there, getting swarmed by the dogs, and getting shot by the guys at the same time. This dog, you kind of want to get behind him as quickly as you can and then just start swiping at it. There you go. Just, you don't want to get them too aggressive to the point where you're having to be on the defensive. But as you saw, how I dealt with that dog down there was just kind of... I don't really like to use circle to sidestep them because I think when they sidestep and you sidestep at the same time, their AI is telling them that they need to get in front of you. And most of the time when that happens, they get in front of you and they bite you. And dogs, for whatever reason, do a shit ton of damage. And once they start getting off on you, it's really hard to heal. You start panicking, and usually they come out on top. So just don't use circle to dodge around them. I just kind of let them attack, and I kind of like to go right or left depending on how the environment's set up. And that's how I kind of sidestep them, and they just kind of forward lunge themselves past you, so it sets up for a good counterattack. This gate is closed. There is nothing else to be seen here. So the basic gist of this arena right here is just to make sure that you don't have all 3 dogs aggro on you while getting shot at and having 2 guys chase you. And dealing with the troll down there so you don't have all of that stuff chasing you around. This encounter is a little bit more difficult, but there is a way to deal with them. So at first, you don't want the werewolves to take notice of you right away. You want to come down this way, grab this item, and then you want to make sure that their backs are turned as much as you can get it. And that was actually pretty good. I want them to do that. Watch out for this guy right here. Ooh, that was close. There's another guy in the corner, but he won't aggro. So these guys, they are the product of bad AI where they cannot enter the doorway. So from here you can kind of just cheese whip them. And as you saw there, I had one swipe that hit for 63 points. And that's generally because I hit him in a sweet spot or I hit him while he was in a defenseless posture. That's what I mean by sweet spots in the second video, is that sometimes you're going to get a lot bigger damage numbers depending on where you hit that creature and at what point with the weapon. It's not foolproof every single time, so it's, you know, just generally just kind of swing away, and as long as you're doing damage, you're doing great. So while the threaded cane is transformed into the whip, we are doing bonus damage to the beast-like enemies because it is serrated. Serrated weapons such as the saw cleaver or the saw spear that we'll get here in a bit do extra damage to beast, indicated on the weapon's little special attack right there. And you'll see that when it says special attack, right, I have 0 on the poison and 0 on the rapid poison because this weapon has not been affiliated with poison yet. But we're doing 100 and 100 on damage against beast and kin. So basically just normal base damage, right? And we saw that. So right now our physical attack is 78 and we're doing a +7 because of our skill being at a C, meaning that we get like a little percentage bonus because, you know, we are using skill as our primary attribute, and this weapon scales off of skill at a C level right now as it is, because it is just a regular base version of the weapon. But once we transform this weapon into the serrated version, I don't think it's going to show. Yeah, it never really does. There's like another hidden attribute for the weapon of the serrated. The saw cleaver will show like 110, 120 on beast because of its serrated edges. So just keep that in mind when you fight beast-like enemies. You want to transform, you know, your weapons into serration if you can, so you can get just like that little bit of extra damage on them. And it's not such a bad idea to use it either. I just think that the whip kind of winds up too much when you're facing against regular guys, so it doesn't make it viable to use. As for the cane, you're just swinging it like a basic sword. So most important thing to take away from that was to go backwards, collect that item, remember this area very well, you're going to come back to it. When you proceed down here, if they're chasing you and you get scared, if you go down here, you're going to find a troll. If you go past the troll, you're going to find a boss. The idea is that they're trying to scare you into that situation where you're like, I don't know which way to take. When you're running, you probably don't notice this right out the gate, and you're just running past all this stuff straight into a boss. So it's great level design. I love it, especially for newcomers. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen unless you watch this video. So just keep this area in mind, but what we're going to do is that we're going to open up a good shortcut here. Right here, there was a guy that you saw too. He's here for an ambush. I wish that they would have put him right here though, so that as you ran and they triggered you running from the werewolves right there, he would just kind of take a swipe at you. But he's kind of based right here, so he's kind of easy to see if you just kind of look that way. Two guys in here if you need it. Use the torch. I think the game's lit up pretty nicely at 5, so you don't really need it like that. This door is locked. There is a guy down here. Wheelchair man right here, he is an enemy. That idea was to grab this item and then get shot at by this guy. He has like a little blunderbuss pistol. So they wanted you to kind of just take damage from the back. When the hunt began, the healing church left us, blocking the great bridge to the cathedral ward. As old Yharnam burned to the ground that moonlit night. So more world building. Read the notes. So you saw that door was closed, but this door can be opened. This is the shortcut. And you'll see where we go. This guy right here. Easy. Okay. And right back to Gilbert. And our first lantern of the game. So now we have the shortcut open to where we can just immediately spawn in here. That shortcut is primarily used for the boss encounter that we're going to have probably in the next video, I want to say. I don't know. Time is going a little quicker than I would like when I'm trying to explain this rather than just running through it. But that's okay. Alright, so there's a drop off there, but we don't need to worry about that right now. You know what? Actually, let's just do that. I think it's just generally easier to get this. So we're going to drop right here. Grab this. It's a Cold Blood Dude 1. And this right here, if you circle around, hit this. Kind of hard to see. This is the other side of the door. So now you have 2 shortcuts open at this point. Alright, so generally down here, I like to deal with the dogs. And you see what I mean by the sidestep there? I just held left the entire time, right? So one dog burst through. Smack them or a bunch of them will burst through. This guy kind of pinch him against the corner. He can't do anything. Good kill. Nothing over there. So this dog right here, you can kind of sneak up on it and then just do a visceral or a charged heavy.
You're a hunter, aren't you? Then, well, do you know of any safe place?
This NPC is an asshole, so you can go ahead and knock on the door. You can ignore her, but we're going to come back to this eventually, so I'm just going to go ahead and just do the knock.
I've heard I have. Shutting up indoors isn't always enough. Well, if you hunters got off your asses, you wouldn't be in this mess. You're obligated to help me, you hear? So what'll it be? Are you going to tell me or not? I should have known. You're good for nothing. No respect for the elderly is what that is. That lot of good you outsiders do. Go on, admit it. You think we're all mad, don't you? Well, go and stop it. I know all your tricks. There was it, there are much better ways to unless.
And that's pretty much it. She just wants you to find her a safe place to stay at, but we don't have anywhere like that yet, so we must continue. Before going down, we want to actually take care of these enemies here. These enemies are the Beastmen. They're just basically upgraded versions of the villagers who went almost full beast. So the Beastmen. They will take serrated damage a little bit. But like I said, I think the whip just takes too long to wind up, especially with this low stamina, and we don't want to give them an edge on us. So there is a beast over here. So you just let them attack, and then go in for your counter. Bloodstone Shard, those are very good drops. That means that's a rare drop from those guys. Usually they only drop blood vials, so once you get Bloodstone Shards, that means you're getting a rare drop. And you can just pretty much Google what each enemy drops if you are requiring a certain item of a game. This guy over here, you want to walk up on him, get behind him. The guys with the little spear needles, those are very dangerous. They will do a lot of damage and they can reach you from far distances, so you do want to try to get behind them. Now, saying that, I messed that one up. That's okay, because we ended up getting our parry and visceral off anyway. But yeah, that's just understanding your weapons and the range that they possess can be the difference between life and death in this game. And again, we want to come out this way because we want to deal with this stuff on the bridge. You want to guide this guy back into here so you don't have to deal with that guy shooting at you. But yeah, just generally just really watch your stamina bar. Give yourself enough stamina just to perform one defensive move if you really need to do it. Because that's basically what I was doing, just swinging, and giving that little bit of dash so I can just take a roll if I had to get away. And then come back and reset. There's a little skip over on this side that we can do. I'll just show it. We just walk around this. There's 2 birds together in the corner here. Grab those 2 oil urns. And then you can walk around to this side. Attack these birds. Nothing off the platform. Nope. And feel free to use your blood vials when your HP is kind of taken away like that. Especially in the early game because you don't have any level ups towards your vitality. And obviously you saw a pro 2 hits almost did me in. So, right here, walk off the plank, grab another bloodstone. There's nothing inside these things, so don't even waste your time. I will show you where the actual places are. If you're playing online, you're going to get a lot of people that like to play tricks on you and say like, oh, there's a hidden wall behind here. There's no hidden walls here. There's only certain hidden walls in the Chalice dungeons, but that is for a long time. Alright, so basically you wanted to clear that way to make your life easier because the little route that we're about to go on here is kind of annoying. I wish there was a simpler way to do this, but unfortunately there is not. And we are going to pick up one of my favorite Alright, so here you want to come around to this left side over this way. Try not to take the beams. I mean, you can, but they're wide enough, but just, you have an entire platform. Why not use this rather than those little beams, you know? And sometimes the cameras in From games can just pull you and pull your character off to the side, disorienting you and leaving you dead. Wide arcing swipes at these right here is the safest thing you can do. I don't think I've ever seen that. Oh, okay, never mind. It dropped off. Okay. I thought it dropped in the middle. I was like, I've never seen it do that before. So you want to swipe at these 2 bodies that are hanging. Okay? And we are going to go down there for those. But first, we want to break these barrels, come through this little archway, and meet one of the coolest NPCs in this entire game.
Oh. A hunter, are you? And an outsider. What a mess you've been caught up in. And tonight of all nights. Here, to welcome the new hunter. Prepare yourself for the worst. There are no humans left. They're all flesh-hungry beasts now. Still lingering about. What's wrong? A hunter unnerved by a few beasts. No matter. Without fear in our hearts, we're little different from the beasts themselves. What are you still doing here? Enough trembling in your boots. A hunter must hunt. What are you... Enough trembling in your boots. A hunter must hunt.
Yes, indeed. A hunter must hunt. Alright. So, she gave us some items and a new gesture. Which, I think you're going to need all the gestures for a trophy. I don't really remember. I just did them all. So... yeah. And that's kind of where New Game Plus comes in, is because there are certain gestures that you can't learn unless you do certain sequencing events. And yeah, you're gonna have to do a New Game Plus to get those. So, like I said, there's plenty of guides though on YouTube where you can go look up how to get your platinum. I did. I got mine. But I'm not going to show that here because this is just for the skill blood tinge build. So when I push the right D-pad or touchpad down, I'm going to open up my personal effects, and then I'm going to hit triangle, and I'm going to go ahead and put these bold hunter marks inside of this. You don't want to put these inside your quick items because it's just a waste of space, to be honest, and they're best serviced on what I call the utility belt, basically, from Dark Souls, right? Bold Hunter's Marks will transport you pretty much back to the Hunter's Dream. So think of them as homeward bones from Dark Souls, and that's exactly what they do. If you use the Hunter's Mark, it is the same thing, but the problem with this one is that it sacrifices all your blood echoes, leaving them at the spot that you decided to leave the world at, and then you'll have to go get those back. So just be aware of that. There's just ways to get out of stuff if you don't want to be there. And then let's see here. Alright. So Eileen there is shedding some more light on this dark world we are living in. And, you know, essentially said, yeah, there's no more humans here. It's all beast and blood. So, you know, the hunter that we are, we need to go cleanse the streets of Yharnam. I've almost never seen that rat just run up on me like that. Usually they are not that aggressive, but that one for some reason was just like, no, I'm gonna try it. So these guys right here, you can throw a pebble to kind of separate them. Honestly, the rats aren't hard to deal with. They just have one charge up attack that's kind of annoying to deal with. But here we got the saw spear. So I love the saw spear. It's just like the saw cleaver, exactly like it, but the only difference is that it pokes rather than, you know, whatever the saw cleaver does as far as like hacking and slashing and stuff like that. This one kind of does the same stuff, but it has a poke, which makes it better against certain enemies. But it does have the serrated edges, meaning that it does extra damage to beast. Not widely regarded as one of the most favorite weapons of Bloodborne, but I like it a lot, probably because of the gem placements. That's what people really don't like about it. So you just walk up to these rats, try to get in the middle of them as best you can. And there you go. All you gotta do is deal with them. I wish there was a way to cross the gap just by jumping, but there isn't. So I would just recommend dropping down over here, just so you don't drop down in front of those rats. And then kind of slow walk yourself so you don't present yourself as a target to them. Same idea, get behind them, charge an R2, and then kill them. That is our first Madman's Knowledge. Now we are going to use that item eventually. I'll show why we're doing that. So why we did that all, right, is because if you did not know how to do it, you would have cut those things down, and then you would have had to run back and forth up and down this ladder while getting shot at and chased by all these beasts and werewolves and stuff like that. So you really, really wanted to take care of them before you go up here. It's just the smart way to play. And I'll tell you, the first couple times I played that, I didn't even think about stuff like that. I just went with it and got shot in the back thousands of times, fell off the ladder, died down there a couple millions of times, you know. So anything just kind of makes sense and is smart, play it like that. So then on the other side, you want to drop down, Unfortunately, you can't avoid taking damage here. You just land on that no matter what. You can see this rat is bugged. Throwing knives are really good. I like to use them in PvP because they're quick and people don't really see it coming. Especially if you're like low on HP or something like that and you just throw one, it kind of procs and hits. You can do plunging attacks. Just push R1. And then that other guy dropped us another dew, or it was a upgrade mat. I couldn't remember, but very important to grab either way. So we're done with that adventure folly down there. Now, you can continue down here, but we are going to revisit this area because you see we have items that we need to grab. So instead, we're going to take this ladder and go to the top because we are going to unlock another shortcut. So meet Eileen, get all the stuff down here, cut those two bodies off, and you're set up. Over on this side, we have a bunch of crows. Kind of deal with them any way you want and grab that at man's knowledge. That's going to be your second one. And or first, depending on how you decide to go about it. So this door did not have a red lantern, but there is a interaction here.
Wretched outsider. Trying to fool me to open this door. Heavens, the depths of depravity.
And that's it for that. This guy walk up right behind him and then just charge an R2. No point in getting him aggro. There we go. And climb this ladder. And we are going to have another NPC interaction as well as a shortcut interaction. Pop the shortcut. And you will see that we have ended up where the dog stuff, troll, the fountainhead, all of this area right here. Go ahead and talk to this.
Who are you? I don't know your voice, but I know that smell. Are you a hunter? Please will you look for my mum? Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him, but now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared. Really? Oh, thank you. My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, I mustn't forget. If you find my mum, give her this music box. It plays one of Daddy's favourite songs. And when Daddy forgets us, we play it for him so he remembers. Mum's so silly when I'm off without it. My mum wears a red jeweled brooch. It's so big and beautiful. You won't miss it. Oh, and if you find her, please.
So yes, the little girl is looking for her parents. You will want to say yes, you will go find her parents because she's going to give you that music box. The music box is optional to use for a later boss encounter, but I think it's generally really helpful because it does allow you to get off some free hits on him. And generally, you want to do it anyway, right? So we got little tidbits of information there about, okay, a girl's missing her parents, and we're looking for a mom with a red jeweled brooch. Two ways that we can go ahead and handle that quest line when we come to it, but we are not going to do that right now. Alright, so we have covered a majority of the first intro area for Yharnam. What I am going to do is I'm going to cut it here, and in our next part, we are going to continue from this area where we met the 2 werewolves, and we are going to actually go through this side. So we are now going to venture from the top and go back to that sewer area that we were at, and continue on with clearing out all of the Yharnam street stuff, and getting ourselves in a proper position where we can start leveling up and using our bloodstone shards to upgrade our weapons. So thank you for watching this part, and we will continue on our adventure through Yharnam in the next one. Thank you.